Imagine finding out, after 15 years, that past love who broke your heart left you an unexpected gift, a child. Yes, that happened to me. In today's video, I'll reveal all the details of this surprising and twist-filled story. If you've ever wondered what it's like to live a love story interrupted by fate, but which unexpectedly reunites hearts, stick with me until the end. I promise you'll be moved and surprised. Follow along with this incredible story and discover how destiny can hold surprises that change our lives forever. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more inspiring stories. I met John during my second year of college, on the campus of Boston University. He was an engineering student, and I was studying literature. We first met at a party with mutual friends, where he stood out for his charismatic personality and contagious sense of humor. I remember how he approached me while I was alone, admiring the view of the moonlit garden. The conversation flowed naturally, and before I knew it, we were laughing and sharing personal stories as if we had been friends for a long time. Our relationship began casually, with casual meetings for coffee and studying together in the library. Over time, these encounters became more frequent and intense. John always found creative ways to surprise me, whether with small gifts or by planning unexpected outings around the city. His passion for challenges and his enthusiasm for life deeply enchanted me. It was evident that he had an adventurous soul, and I, being more reserved, was drawn to his free spirit. One of the most memorable moments of our relationship was when we took a weekend trip to Cape Cod. I remember the fresh sea breeze, the long walks on the beach, and the deep conversations we had under the stars. It was during this trip that I realized how much John meant to me. I felt like we could talk about anything, from our dreams and aspirations to our deepest fears. Our connection seemed to be something out of the ordinary, something that many people spend their whole lives searching for. Another unforgettable moment was our first Christmas together. John took me to meet his family, and they welcomed me with open arms. It was a warm and welcoming experience, full of laughter and family traditions. That night, as we sat by the fireplace, he gave me a special gift, a necklace with a star-shaped pendant. He said that I was his guiding star, someone who brought light and direction into his life. This gesture deeply moved me and further solidified our bond. However, not everything was perfect in our relationship. Over time, differences began to arise. John received an irresistible job offer in another city, and this became a point of tension between us. He was extremely excited about the opportunity for professional growth, but I couldn't simply drop everything and go with him. I was in my final year of college and had my own commitments and dreams to fulfill. Furthermore, the distance and the pressure of maintaining a long-distance relationship began to weigh on us. Calls and messages became increasingly sparse, and insecurity began to take hold. There were many discussions about the future and our priorities. It seemed like we were on different paths, and neither of us was willing to compromise. It was a painful decision, but we decided that it was best to part ways, each of us following our own path. After the breakup, I felt devastated. It was as if a part of me had been ripped away. The house where we lived together felt empty and full of haunting memories. Dealing with John's absence was one of the hardest periods of my life. I buried myself in my studies and tried to keep my mind occupied, but the emptiness was constant. I spent many nights crying and wondering if we had made the right decision. What hurt the most was the sense of loss, not just of John, but of the plans and dreams we had together. Gradually, I began to accept reality and find the strength to move forward. I leaned on friends and family who helped me overcome the pain. It was a slow and painful process, but gradually I began to rebuild my life and find new reasons to smile. After the breakup, I lost all contact with John. He moved to another city, and over time our lives went in opposite directions. There was no way to keep him informed about my life, let alone the drastic changes that were to come. It was during this period of uncertainty and personal rediscovery that I encountered the biggest surprise of my life. My name is Sarah, and it all began a few weeks after the breakup, when I started to feel some strange symptoms. At first, I thought it was just the stress of the breakup and finishing college. But the morning sickness and constant fatigue persisted. I decided to take a pregnancy test, just to rule out the possibility. I'll never forget that moment when I saw the 2 lines appearing on the test. I felt a mix of shock, fear, and unexpected happiness. I scheduled an appointment with my doctor to confirm the pregnancy. When he told me I was 8 weeks pregnant, reality finally hit me. I was going to be a mother. The news was overwhelming and transformative at the same time. Suddenly, all that mattered was the little being growing inside me. At that moment, a flood of emotions overwhelmed me. On one hand, I felt absolutely terrified. How could I, a young student, raise a child alone? On the other hand, there was a deep feeling of love and protection growing inside me. I decided that I would do my best to provide a fulfilling and happy life for my son. The decision not to inform John was difficult, but necessary. Without knowing where he was, and with the certainty that he was pursuing his own dreams, I thought it best to move forward alone. I focused on finishing my studies and preparing everything for the baby's arrival. My parents were a great support during this phase, helping me set up the baby's room and providing the emotional support I so desperately needed. Raising my son Jake was a constant challenge, but also an endless source of joy. From his first cry to his first steps, every moment was unique and special. Being a single mother meant dealing with sleepless nights, diapers, crying, and at the same time, managing my time between work and caring for Jake. There were times when I felt exhausted and overwhelmed, but his smile always gave me the strength to keep going. Watching Jake grow, learn to speak his first words, and take his first steps were experiences that made me realize that every sacrifice was worth it. He was the light of my life, the reason I woke up every day with a renewed purpose. Jake brought countless memorable moments into my life. I remember his first birthday, a small celebration with close family and friends. The expression of surprise and joy on his face when he saw the cake for the first time was priceless. Another unforgettable moment was his first day of school. He was so excited and confident, and I was proud but also a little nervous as I left him in that new environment. Over the years, Jake showed a special talent for sports, especially soccer. I enrolled him in a youth league, and watching his games became one of my favorite pastimes. Every goal he scored, every win for the team, was cause for celebration. Through all these experiences, our bond grew stronger and stronger. 15 years had passed since the last time I saw John. My life was stable and Jake was growing rapidly, becoming a charming and talented teenager. I never imagined that our paths would cross again, but fate had other plans. It was during a community event in our town, a local fair that brought together various families and friends, that we reunited. I was with Jake, exploring the craft booths, when suddenly I spotted a familiar figure on the other side of the square. My heart raced as I recognized John, more mature but still with the same contagious smile. He was there, at an exhibition booth, promoting a sustainable engineering project, which didn't surprise me, considering his passion for the field. John noticed Jake first. My son was watching one of the contraptions with great interest when John approached to explain how it worked. It was a surreal moment. I watched from afar, unable to believe what I was seeing. As John looked closer at Jake, he furrowed his brow, as if he were seeing a reflection of the past. When our eyes finally met, the surprise on his face was evident. I walked towards them, feeling a mixture of nervousness and anticipation. I introduced Jake to John without immediately mentioning our past. John was intrigued by the physical resemblance between them and casually asked if he was my son. When I confirmed, I saw understanding begin to form in his eyes. He pulled me aside and, with an incredulous tone of voice, asked directly if Jake was his son. With a lump in my throat, I confirmed. The expression of shock and confusion was replaced by a mix of complex emotions: surprise, joy, and a touch of regret. Seeing John again brought a flood of emotions. At first, I felt a wave of nostalgia, memories of all the good times we shared. But soon after, a feeling of apprehension took hold of me. I didn't know how he would react to the news of having a teenage son he never knew. The truth is, part of me still held a deep affection for him, and seeing how he interacted with Jake, even before knowing the truth, touched my heart. There was an instant connection between the two that was undeniable. Seeing John so attentive and genuinely interested in Jake brought a sense of relief. but also sadness for the lost time. After the revelation, we arranged a more private meeting so that John and Jake could get to know each other better. I explained the situation to Jake carefully, anxious about how he would react. He had always been a curious boy, and had already asked me questions about his father, but I never expected this day to come so suddenly. At the first meeting, Jake was a bit shy, but very curious. He looked at John with a mixture of fascination and caution. John, on the other hand, was visibly emotional but trying to remain calm not to scare Jake. As the conversation flowed, the resemblance between them became even more evident, not just physically, but also in their little quirks and gestures. Jake, with his surprising maturity, began to ask questions about John's past and how he and I met. It was a touching moment when John, with tears in his eyes, explained the situation and expressed his regret for not being present in Jake's life from the beginning. Slowly, the ice began to break, and Jake started to open up, sharing his passions and dreams. After the initial revelation, John took some time to process the magnitude of the news. He felt a mix of joy at discovering he had a son and regret for the lost time. Initially, it was hard for him to accept that he had missed so many important moments in Jake's life, but he decided he would make up for lost time in every possible way. John began visiting Jake regularly, actively involving himself in his life. He attended soccer games, participated in school meetings, and made sure to be present for birthdays and other important dates. Gradually, John and Jake started to build a relationship based on trust and mutual respect. For Jake, it was a period of adjustment, but he soon realized that John was committed to being a present and dedicated father. John's entry into our lives brought significant changes to the family dynamic. Jake was excited about his father's presence and made the most of the time they spent together. For me, it was an emotional adjustment to see John and Jake forming such a strong bond. We had to redefine our routines and adapt to a new way of living together. John also had to adjust to the new reality. He learned to balance his career with the responsibilities of being a father. He often came home to have dinner with us and participated in family activities. These changes brought a sense of completeness that I hadn't realized was missing until then. Our family was transforming, and it required patience and flexibility from all sides. John and Jake began planning the future together. They had several conversations about Jake's dreams, especially his desire to pursue a career in soccer. John, with his life and career experience, provided valuable guidance and supported Jake every step of the way. They also planned trips together, such as camping and exploring trails, activities they both loved. John made sure to involve Jake in his engineering projects, showing him what he did at work and encouraging his interest in science and technology. Together, they made plans for the future, including the possibility of Jake visiting John in his city and even considering a move to be closer to each other. Over time, we reflected a lot on forgiveness and new beginnings. The journey wasn't easy, but it was filled with learning and growth. I learned to forgive John for the past, understanding that he also suffered from the distance and absence. John, in turn, learned to forgive himself and accept that the present is what matters. Jake, with his youthful wisdom, has taught us a lot about resilience and acceptance. He showed that it's possible to build strong relationships, even after years of separation. Our conversations often revolved around how the past shaped who we are today, but that it's the present that defines our future. We are all committed to continuing to build a life together, cherishing every moment. John and I have learned to work together as co-parents, focusing on Jake's well-being and the opportunities we can create for him. This process has brought us a new understanding of the power of forgiveness and the importance of embracing new beginnings with an open heart. Throughout this story, we've seen how life can surprise us in unexpected ways. From the beginning of the relationship with John, through the painful breakup, the surprising discovery of the pregnancy, and the challenges of raising Jake alone, to the emotional reunion and the building of a new family bond, each step has been marked by moments of growth and transformation. This journey has shown us that, despite difficulties, love and forgiveness have the power to heal and unite. Jake's resilience, John's dedication to making up for lost time, and my determination to provide a happy life for my son are testimonies that even when life doesn't follow the plan we imagine, There's always room for new beginnings. I would like to leave a special message for all of you who have followed us this far. Life is full of twists and challenges, but it's how we face these situations that defines who we are. Never underestimate the power of love, acceptance, and forgiveness. They can turn difficult situations into opportunities for growth and happiness. If you're going through a tough time or facing a similar situation, remember that there is always hope. Keep your heart open and be willing to forgive and move forward. Believe in second chances and the power to rebuild broken bonds. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more emotional and inspiring accounts, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any new videos. Leave a like and share this video with your friends and family so more people can be inspired by our journey. And of course, I would love to hear your stories and reflections in the comments. Have you ever been through a similar situation? How was your experience? Let's create a community of support and inspiration where everyone can share their experiences and learn from each other. Thank you so much for watching and for being part of this journey with us. Until next time.